Well, happy Monday. We're not Monday. It's Friday. That is the type of week it's been, everyone. It has been a crazy, crazy week, and we are here. I'm flying solo. If you caught last night's Facebook Live where I normally introduce the guest, we had a little bit of it's just been a crazy week, and we're flying solo today. But man, I am super, 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 super stoked to be flying solo with you all. So I'm very excited to be here. And this topic that we're going to be discussing today is it's a very much needed topic, very, very much needed topic. And we're, we're just going to jump into it. So I've got a question for you all right now. Do you know who controls the digital tools in almost every website publisher that they're using to sell ads on their site? Shocker. It's Google. It's Google. And if you haven't been following this recently, in January, they were started in hot, well, they've been in hot water for a while, but there was a Department of Justice and other states' attorney generals filed a civil suit against them. So we're going to get into this about the suit. The suit alleges that Google has violated Section 1 and 2 of the Sherman Act. Now, you're probably thinking Sherman Peabody. Nope. And Bill's coming in here hot right now saying the devil. And Bill, I should just end right now. That might be the best comment that I've had in a while. So thank you, Bill. Yes, yes, Bill. And Bill and I were talking about this earlier last night because I'm just kind of shocked how few people are talking about this. I don't know if it's the fear of Google and the tech giant, but I know, Bill, you posted something about this. There's just not a lot of people talking about this. And so I just this is something I've been really chomping at the bit since January to talk about this. So when this opportunity came last night that I go, oh my gosh, I now have been given this opportunity to have on Friday to talk about this. I just was very, very excited about this. So going back to this, is 8 state attorney generals filed a civil antitrust suit against the tech giant, which i.e. Google. And the suit alleged that Google has violated and we'll go into what the Sherman Act is. So if you're like, Brooke, you're throwing down words. What the hell are you saying? Stay with me. We are going to get into it. Don't worry. I'll break this down. We're going to break it into very simple terms because when Dusty Sutherland, thank you so much. Yes, as he says, Sherman antitrust equals monopoly, 100%. That's exactly what it is. And Dusty Sutherland sends me over the 153-page civil suit. And it's all, if anybody wants to, you need some reading material, you can't sleep, I'm happy to send over the 153 civil suit over to you. And to make this really break, we're going to break it down into 15 points, 15 takeaways. We've got some other things to kind of to break it down because yes, is this video and the video podcast here this is visual, but actually seeing the graphics of the monopoly that Google has over everyone is quite daunting. So to bring this full circle, once again, the Justice Department and state attorneys are seeking to restore competition into our marketplace. And when I say that, it's not just for us marketers, it's for the publishers as well. So before I go any further, we started this is the third show now we're doing this, that I share this, make sure give me some feedback here, share this with this episode with someone that you think is going to benefit from this. We did the first winner. It was Jeff. Jeff and I were having a conversation before we went live here. I got his swag. It's being sent out. Literally hit the send on it this morning. Well, now it's afternoon. So yeah, please give the feedback in here. And as all the show from last week went on YouTube yesterday. So we'll pick the winner probably Saturday or Monday, somewhere around that time. And we'll pick some more winners here and throw out some swag. So some of the swag, like I said, we've got, it just kind of depends on what we're doing. We've got, different things. I've got the shirt on here. So like for Jeff, for instance, we got a fax not filling t-shirt was sent out to him today. So keep the feedback coming, keep the love coming. And if there's something you wanted to hear more of, or, hey, love that, keep it coming, just keep the feedback coming. So, all right. So once again, before I go more into the Google portion of this, a couple of things we want to set up a groundwork of this. So as anyone that knows me knows that I'm definitely a Google nerd. I love Google Analytics. We've all adopted this as the barometer by which to measure things. Well, we've also been forced to do that as well. So Bill is saying here, it affects everyone. They just don't realize how deep Google is in everything. Yes. And I love that you're saying this, Bill, because we will definitely get into that. And not only are they deep in everything, because they control everything, those metrics are skewed. So we'll get into that though, Bill. Thank you so much. So whether it's Google Analytics or the Google products, yes, I'm on the Automotive Standards Council, like with GA4. I'm all for Google. I'm also for fair competition. If you're new to the show, I did an episode back. It was, I'm going to say maybe, I honestly don't know the date, but it was last year. I did a show on Coffeyville, Kansas. So if you're unaware, got to go to Google to survive. Yes, yeah. I mean, you have to have you have to have Google 100%. John, John is saying here that you gotta Google to survive. So you've got to have Google. Understanding how it works and how it's impacting us is really, really key. And not if we're not talking about this is very, very big. This is a huge, huge issue. And understanding that there are other portions of this. So, John, I'm going to come back to your comment here in just a second here. So, Coffeyville, Kansas, we have. If anyone is unaware of Coffeyville, Kansas, or if you've been in your analytics lately, or in the not even lately, if you've been in your analytics in the last couple of years, and you go, wait, I'm in Chicago. Why am I getting traffic from Coffeyville, Kansas? Go back and watch that. Go back and watch that episode. The main bullet point is that Coffeyville, Kansas is in the middle of the dead center of the United States. And there's I don't want to script this number here. I believe it's 600 million. Back when they originally did this article, it was 600 million IP addresses pointing to this resident. More or less, it is a farmhouse. When Google can't figure out what the IP address is, it just sends it there. So it could be legitimate traffic, or it might be legitimate traffic. And if you try to sort that out, then you might actually be sorting out real, actual customers and real traffic. But it just points it there. And this poor family in this farmhouse has filed lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit because they get all this crap sent to them, and it's not directed towards them. But Google can't find it, so it just throws it there. So I take this one step further to say, we did on this episode, I talked about speed tests. Now, not that I want to see how fast your internet is. I don't care about that. Like, for instance, when I did my speed test, I am in right now doing this broadcast from Vernon Hills, Illinois. But if I do an actual Google speed test, it doesn't say I'm in Illinois. It doesn't say I'm in Vernon Hills, Illinois. It gives me a different city. But why? Why is that the case? Well, Google's trying to find the fastest server, right? With my hands, apparently. It's picking and choosing where it wants to be. When Dusty Sutherland does his, he's in Ohio. However, it shows he's not in Ohio. It shows a city like 3 hours away from him. So knowing how Google works is really, really key. So I set that precedence to know also that if I'm trying to measure TikTok traffic, once again, I'm not measuring TikTok traffic from Google. I'm not going to to truly measure Facebook traffic. Once again, you're going to be measuring that in Facebook. Amazon traffic. Are you measuring your Amazon advertising in Facebook or in Google? No, you're not. Google is a tool in your tool belt. So now let's get back into the craziness of monopolizing. The whole title of this show is Monopolizing of Digital Advertising, Why the Justice Department and States Are Suing Google. Man, this is a fun one. This is a fun one, everyone. I'm really excited about this. So I thought about this a couple different ways of what it is. So let's start first of what the heck is the Sherman Act. So the Sherman Act right here is going to be, it's a U.S. federal law that prohibits monopolies and other anti-competitive businesses, prohibits businesses practice. So more or less, you gotta be able to not to have competition. You don't want monopolies. That's the main bullet point of that. And the suit is claiming that they've violated Section 1 and Section 2. So I went through this whole thing and said, okay, there's so much information here. What are the top 15 takeaways? Because I can sit here and go through the summary of it, but I feel like I'm going to lose people if I do that because there's so much information. So let's just break down some of the top 15 things of the takeaways of what is going on with the suit and why does it matter to you? Why does it matter to a dealership? Why does it matter to a small business? Why does it matter to a large business? Why does it matter to corporate America? And why does it matter to advertising agencies? So let's break down we're going to break them down three at a time here. So the first one here that we're going to talk about is number one, is Google is being accused of monopolizing, we just talked about, of key digital advertising technologies, which website publishers demand on to sell ads and advertise to rely on to buy ads and reach potential customers. So what the heck does that mean? More or less, they've monopolized everything. They've monopolized that you have to sell on their tool. And we're gonna dive into a graphic portion of this in just a second here. I want to get for the first little ones here, and then we'll pull this up here. But you have to sell on their platform, you have to advertise on their platform, and you have to buy on their platform. You can't buy anywhere else. So going back to the very start of this, when I talked about, hey, website publishers. So if you're a website publishing company, you have to buy on there and you have to sell on there, but it all has to be through Google. So if you're ESPN.com, everything has to go through Google. They have monopolized the entire thing that you have to buy and sell on there. And we'll get into some numbers here in a second. So the next one here, number 2, is the complainant alleges that Google has engaged in a course of anti-competitive and exclusionary conduct that consists on neutralizing or, dun dun dun, eliminating ad tech competitors through acquisition. So once again, not only are they monopolizing it, they're just saying, hey, if you're even, we're just going to squash you. If you even want to try to compete with this, no way. We are going to, and that terminology right there, neutralizing or eliminating, Dusty and I had, man, Dusty, I don't know how many conversations we had about just that line right there. And that's written out how they are trying neutralizing or eliminating ad tech competitors. Like that, what? It's like we need to have, this has got to be broken up. Like, that's just, yeah, man, yeah. I'm just gonna let that one sit there for a second. Just let that sit there for a second. The complainant alleges that Google has engaged in a course of anti-competitive and exclusionary conduct that consists on neutralizing or eliminating ad tech competitors through acquisition. You get in our way, we'll just acquire you. Number 3, Google has been using its dominance across digital advertising markets to force more publishers and advertisers to use its product. So I'm going to bring these back up here one more time here. At the end of the day, the first 3 here, Google is forcing everyone to use their product, whether it's to, hey, you have to use this to sell, you have to use this to buy, you have to use this to advertise. All of them, you have to use everything to buy us, have to use this to buy us. Like, everything is being forced through Google. Number 4, Google is accused of thwarting, which I always think that's like a crazy word, but thwarting the ability to use competing products and cementing its dominance in tools relied by website publishers and online advertisers. So once again, they're forcing everyone into that same little pigeonhole that you have to use everything Google. Number 5, the Justice Department and state attorney generals seek to restore competition in these important markets and obtain equitable and monetary relief on behalf of the American public. And that goes back to the Sherman Act. Number 6, Google now controls the digital tools that nearly every major website publisher uses to sell ads on their website, publisher ad servers. So going back to that, they control everything. So before I go any further, I want to pull up right here. So looking at this kind of breaks down even further what I mean by this from a percentage wise. But breaking this down, you're going to see on the left-hand side here, the sell portion of it. So you're looking at the current digital advertising market space right here. Then the buy side is going to be on the right side. And then the middle is the ad exchange. So looking at that, you can see the market share that is just gobbled up by Google. Just gobbled up. When you look at DoubleClick for publishers, which has 90% of the market share. 90% of the market share. When you're looking at the Google Ad Exchange, which is greater, or it's about 50% of the market share. It's insane. And you're looking at more, they're just going back and forth there. When you're looking at the over on the right-hand side there, 80% of the market share. So to say that they dominate and the market, they 100% are all over and monopolizing the market. To me, when I saw that, like, it's one thing to see to see numbers and to see facts and to see stats, but when you see it like that, and you're able to see, like, holy shnikes, and it actually goes more than that as well, which we're going to get into in these next little bit. So recapping here, number 4 through 6. So going on now to 7 through 10. Yeah, we're at number 7 here. 7 through 10 here. So 7, Google controls and is the dominant ad tool that helps millions of large and small advertisers buy ad inventory. So advertiser ad network, and it controls the largest ad exchange, which we just showed up there, and a tech that runs in real-time auctions. So going back to that the graphic we had up earlier, they control everything, literally everything. And then they're forcing companies, both small and large, into this. And whether it's the website publisher or the ad agency, to say you have to use this. Number 8 is Google's anti-competitive conduct has included acquiring competitors, forcing adoption of the tools, distorting auction competition, and manipulating auctions. So I'm just going to read that one more time. Google's anti-competitive conduct has included acquiring competitors, forcing adoption of its tools, distorting auction competitions, and manipulating auctions. So once again, I understand we're in a world where we've got to use Google, we have to use Google, but when you have a monopoly, you can do whatever the heck you want to do. Like you're forcing someone to use the tools that you created, that you own, that you have monopoly on it, and this is what happens. There's no checks and balances, right? So this is what happens. Like, oh man. All right, let's move on here. Number 9, as a result of its illegal monopoly, Google pockets on average more than 30% of the advertising dollars that flow through its digital advertising technology products. Yeah. I don't even know what to say to that one. Like, I got nothing on that one. That's, yeah. Okay. Moving on here. Number 10, the Sherman Act embodies America's enduring commitment to the competitive process, and the Department of Justice committed to protecting competition and preventing monopolistic practices. And that kind of just goes back to what I said. The Sherman Act is, you need competition. You need those checks and balances. And that's exactly what they're trying to do right now. And that's why 8 states have band together to do exactly that. Number 11. The suit claims that Google has engaged in anti-competitive and exclusionary contacts over the past 15 years. This isn't something that happened in the last 2 years. This isn't something that happened overnight, not even the last 5. We're talking 15 years. 15 years, people. And once again, I want to be very clear. I am all about Google and to using Google Analytics, because that's what we're used. Like we don't have we've all adopted Google, especially in our industry, as a barometer, and we're checks and balances, right? Like not checks, but that's how we measure things. This has been going on for a long time. A long time. All right, number 12. Google's ad exchange is, and this was kind of going back to the graphic we had before, but now you're seeing it in actual numbers in, bullet point out here. Google's ad exchange is greater than or equal to 50% of the ad exchange market share. Number 13. Google's advertising ad network has about 80% of the market share. Now, if they have 80% of the market share, how is anybody else supposed to work with that? Whether it's, anybody. I mean, I know Yahoo and Bing are non-existent. I mean, some people will still advertise on Bing. I know that, like in DC, for instance, it's going to be more prevalent in DC just because of security reasons. Why? But when you have 80% of the market share, how else are you supposed to advertise? How is anybody else supposed to advertise when you go back and look at the last 12 things, the last 13 things we've said, or if you even start to come up the chain, Google's going to buy you out. How else are you supposed to advertise? Number 14. Google's display and video 360, demand side DSP, agencies and large agency advertisers has about 40% of the market share. Are you starting to see a trend here? They own everything. They own everything, and then they force everybody into using them. And then when they do use them, you're looking at, hey, wait a second. They use them, and let's go. Sorry, Bill. Do you believe that Google uses power for nefarious acts persuades people to a particular result? That's a great question. Um, Bill, I do want to talk to you offline because I saw this, and this is kind of going on different, but you are talking about Google. It was about finding different results in Google. Like people use Google to like, hey, you know, where's the nearest whatever, or what's my, what's the score, what's the weather. There's a whole way to search Google that a lot of people don't know. Like if you don't want to get clickbait, you can say like Sherman Act or the Google, this DOJ. If I want to know about the Google suit, you can do Google suit PDF, and it's only going to show a PDF versus getting clickbait. If you want, like, there's different ways if you put the tilde next to something, there's different ways to search in Google that a lot of people don't use. So it's not that you're jailbreaking Google by any means, but to answer your question, I think you have if people are using social media and Google to persuade bigger things, and I this show is not political, but I'm just going to say bigger things. 100%, you can do just about anything with Google. It's Google's almighty, and if they're using it to do their own stuff and to I can't remember the exact word that was in what I put over here, but it's not. Their reports are, I won't say they're not tainted, distorting auction competition and manipulating auctions. If they're going to manipulate auctions, I think that's your answer. And but I would have to see that before I make an assumption, because you know me, I'm a very analytical person here. Steven's saying good for Google's perspective, and they have engineered great products, but bad for all the reasons you've intelligently outlined. Great contribution as always. Thank you very much, Steven. Good answer. Thank you, Bill. That's the politically correct answer there, Bill. It's just crazy. I mean, it's very eye-opening when you start to think about it, and always, facts. Don't off the feelings part. You've really got to dive into the data of this. So I'm going to go with number 15 here. Google Pockets. This is very frustrating here. Google Pockets on average more than 30% of advertising dollars that flow through its digital advertising technology products. So Bill, going back to the question you asked earlier, if they're pocketing that money, they're manipulating auctions. Like, seriously, like, what are we doing here? Like, what's this? And I understand they're Google, like, they're monstrous and they're bigger than I'll ever be in my life. But what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Super frustrating here. We've got Heather coming in here. We'll be interested to see how the launch of ChatGPT powered by Bing will affect people's search habits. Exactly, Heather. And I know that Google just, what is it, Bard? I think it's, if I get the name of their tool wrong, but I think it's Bard that Google's releasing to try to combat that. I can tell you with ChatGPT that since ChatGPT launched their premium version, that the free version, I've had a much better availability since the premium version's launch. And it's been like, for me, I use ChatGPT all the time. And the answers that you're giving, the feedback, whatever, the answers have gotten much better. And even like the same things, the same questions that are the same reasons I would use it. The questions of how it answers me is different. Like it is learning so quickly. So Heather, that's a very, very good question. And Google had no choice but to come out with their own version because it's ChatGPT, as great as it is, the technology from 2022 on isn't phenomenal. I mean, it says it in the very first thing. Go back and watch the episode on that one. We go all into that, but great insight there, Heather. John's saying here, they need to work on their AI. Yes, they do. 100% they do, John. Great. And Heather's saying, yes, Bart. Yeah, thank you, Heather. Yeah. So I guess all this to say is that I really just wanted to bring light to this because as I've talked to a few individuals, that we were definitely like, holy shnikes, what is going on here? And why do I won't even say feel, because what I was looking online, and maybe it was just not, I didn't know enough people. My reach wasn't far enough that I didn't see a lot of people talking about this. I wanted to make sure this is being out there and educating people to say, hey, this is out there and this is how it's affecting you. And it's been affecting you for a really, really long time. And Steve is saying Google pays more for publishers. They run ad network as an auction. Advertisers compete with one another. Yes, auction equals best price. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Auction equals high and highest quality for ad users, higher click throughs, better revenue. Google, highest revenue. The market, 70% to publishers. The competitor hasn't been good at building auction. No, they haven't. And Stephen, that goes back to earlier what I was saying is that they manipulate the auction. I mean, it's straight out of the civil suit. They've been manipulating this. And if you're let's take this to our auto space. There are a lot of incredible ad agencies out there, like so many good ad agencies. I am so lucky to know so many of them. And there are some really bad actors out there. And we all know both, right? I'll just leave it at that. We know both. And those good ones out there know that, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Dealer, you can try, if you want me to put your money into XYZ term, just know that you will always be outbid by the OEM and tier one. You are always going to fight them because they have more money. And you can fight that as much as you want. But just as Steven said here, they have more money. They're going to win that every time. So you're competing with them. You're always going to compete with them. Now, if you go and look and say, okay, what terms really should I be searching? And if your AdWords are set up correctly, and that's a whole other topic, knowing how to set them up correctly, then focus on that and get more of engagement versus, hey, let's just pick words because we're stuck in 1992. So, but yeah, Steve, it's unfortunate because it's pay to play, 100% pay to play. So, yeah. So we've got some comments rolling in here. Talk to me a little bit. Is this, for the most part, it seems like the people commenting, a lot of you all knew about this. And Bill, I know for sure you did 100% because we had a conversation beforehand. Is this helpful? What's your feedback on this? Do you talk to me a little bit about this? It's kind of, like I said, I know I'm flying solo here a little bit today. This is just something, like I said, more or less that I wanted to get the message out to everyone about this, just because it affects small businesses. It affects big, large, to a solopreneur to a corporate America. This is affecting everybody because Google's reach is so far, and how you go about this. And like I said, this is all the way up there. It's been going on for a really, really long time. And does that mean that, Brooke, that I just don't use Google Analytics? No. It's not what it means. Like we're still in a place that we got to use it. Like that's the tool we got to use. So yeah, I hope this message gets to everyone and it resonates with you, and you've had a little bit more to be like, yeah, probably an update as the case progresses. Yeah, 100%. I'll circle back with that. In fact, yesterday because this was done on a kind of a last minute, and I knew I wanted to talk about this. Anyways, I would love to get a Google representative on for the next go around with this, because me just talking about it, yes, I can fact check, I can do everything, but it's just me talking, right? And that's great. I know you all, I'm sure, love hearing my voice all the time. I'm sure you do, but it would be great to hear from Google on this. So I think that would be the next one, to just say, hey, Google, give us your side. We'd love to hear it from, because you got to have both sides. I don't want to be talking in an echo chamber. You got to have both sides here. Steve is saying it's because of its auction model. That's why Google is so hard to tackle from the antitrust perspective. Google pays the highest revenue and has the lower margins than anyone. It's because they don't have any competition. That's why they buy out their competition. Yeah, that's right, 100%. Bill, I love that. And like I said, Bill, we need to have a conversation offline as well. So, and thank you for those that are talking about this, just to get the education out there to others, because it's a really, really big topic. And I'm going to go back to the Amazon example here. So you've got Amazon advertising, and that's another way to get a word out there, to get advertising out there. And Amazon's big enough that what's Google going to do with that? Like, that's just me talking right now. But Amazon advertising is good. Amazon advertising, that's a whole other topic. But Google can't squash Amazon. So I am curious what's going to happen with that. Like that's you got two giants going at each other. What happens there? Because you cannot measure Amazon advertising in Google. Like it's just not going to happen. So what then? And then so it'll be interesting what happens with that. And then Facebook. I mean, Facebook. You can't measure. I won't say you can't. That's not you can measure, but to fully measure all engagement in Facebook for Facebook, you're going to have to go to Facebook. So there's some big players here, and in order to have full competitiveness, you're going to need a level playing field here. So all right, let's go. Steve is saying here the easier target for DOG would have been search. Yeah, good calls. Good call, Steven. Good call. Good call. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap this sucker up here. I think like I said, I'm hoping that we've got some comment. Like I said, based on the comments here, I'm hoping that we've hit home here. We'll definitely going to need to do part 2 of this. I would love to have a Google representation with that, though. I don't. It won't be me just talking. It's going to be two-sided for sure. It just doesn't make any. That's just going to be way more productive, and it's just not me talking. No, not that I don't love hearing myself talk. It's always more beneficial when it's an interview versus just me talking. So I just wanted to make sure that we got this message out there and get it spread that this is going on, and it's to not be blindsided by it and to know what it is, what is going on, how to best just get the knowledge out there. That's the bottom line. Get the knowledge out there. So if there's any questions, if I may assist in any way, if you have any questions about it, there's to try to condense a 153-page document into a short show. That was the goal here, and to make it such that it was easily digestible and not be like, holy shnikes, that's a lot of like terms that I don't understand. That was the goal, and I'm hoping that came across here. So if there's any way that I may assist with this, or if I may explain anything more, or hey, I've got questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me. But yeah, everyone have a wonderful rest of your week. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. We're going into President's Week. Yeah, President's Weekend. Yeah, that's what we're going into. And with that, everyone, have a wonderful rest of your weekend. As always, find a way to serve today. Find a way to help someone today. Whatever you can do to just assist and make someone's life a little bit easier. It's been a crazy week for, I'm sure, a lot of people. So just find a way to make someone smile today. Find a way to help them. So everyone, have a wonderful rest of your day as always, and we'll see everyone next week.